Hi friends, welcome to Litronicals. Today we are going to discuss the summary of an essay, Are the Rich Happy by Stephen Leacock. So let's move on to its summary. First, let's discuss some general points from the chapter. Are the Rich Happy is a philosophical reflection on the ideas of being rich. Swinging between personal observations and general perceptions, the essay can be seen as a classic inquiry into the meaning of being affluent. The essay begins with the author's endless errand search for rich, but a critical search leads him to the realization that the people rich in wealth turn out to be poor in happiness. He justifies his assumptions by narrating his experiences of meeting or listening to all specimens of humanity. He concludes the essay by arguing that no matter how money one has, one cannot escape from the drudgeries of life. So, these are the general points discussed in the chapter. These points will be useful for giving an introduction in an essay in examinations. So, let's move on to its summary. Leacock cannot say whether the rich people are happy because he had not seen any rich people. Those whom he had thought rich are not really rich. They are poor and have no money. So, Leacock is trying to cite instances in which he thought he had found rich people. But whenever he talk about them or talk with them, they simply say that they are pinched. They are pinched, meaning that they have no money. They are not really rich enough. They say that they are also poor. Then, one who has 15 servants may not be rich. A person having 15 servants in his home says that he is not rich. Then, one who rides in a limousine is not rich. Limousine is a luxurious car, and a person who owns it simply say that he is not rich. One who sits in the box at an opera is not rich. Opera is a theatrical building used for performances of opera. It is generally visited by rich people. Then, a friend of the author who has $10,000 told him that it is impossible to keep up with the rich. A family with $20,000 also made the same complaint. So here he's sharing his experience where a friend of the author said him that it is impossible to keep up with the rich. It is a man who earns $10,000 saying this comment. Also, a family earning $20,000 had the same opinion. So, these are the instances the author experienced when he thought that he had found rich people, and then he came to realize that they are not really rich because they are not actually uh, willing to accept their richness. Mr. Carnegie will say that it is impossible to keep up with Rockefeller, and Rockefeller will also say the same thing. Mr. Carnegie and Rockefeller are the most rich people in America. So, if we ask Carnegie about his richness, he will say that it is impossible to keep up with Rockefeller, who is that much rich near to him. It is the same opinion of Rockefeller if we ask him about this. Then, but there are reported cases of richness in others' experience, in which he came to know about it from the janitor of the building where he works, who told him about his rich cousin working in Southwestern Railway and earns £10 a week. Secondly, his servant lady, who told him about her rich uncle living in Winnipeg, owns his own home and has two girls at high school. So, the author is describing another event in which some people told him about richness in their point of view. A janitor in the building where he works told him that he has a rich cousin who is working in Southwestern Railway and earns £10 a week. He considers it to be uh, rich, or it's a symbol of richness. Uh, that's the richness in the point of view of that man. Then the servant lady who works in the house of the author told him that she has a rich uncle who is living in Winnipeg, owns his own home, and has two daughters studying in high school. So these are the reported cases of richness in the experience of the author. Then, the rich suffer bitter tragedies which the poor do not know. When the value of pound falls in exchange, the rich suffer. An adverse balance of trade affects the rich. So, there are so many differences between the poor and the rich, because the rich suffer bitter tragedies which the poor do not know. Uh, for example, when the value of pound falls, it is the rich people who suffers. When the balance of trade affects, it also affects the rich. When the balance of the trade falls, it affects only the rich people, and it will not affect the poor people. Then a man called Spack told the author that last month his private bank account was overdrawn $20,000. He was feeling out of sorts. A man named Spug, the author's friend, told him that he felt very bad when his bank account went overdrawn $20,000. Then the author's own account was overdrawn 20 cents at that time. Spug said he had to sell some bonds to cover it. So even though they are rich, they are not willing to accept their richness. These are the ways by which they show their richness. The poor people do not make such sacrifice. They sell at the most a piece of furniture. In the case of poor people, if they are facing a financial crisis or if they are pinched, they will simply sell a piece of their furniture and satisfy their needs. That is how the poor people live their life. It is entirely different from those rich people. Mr. Spag will sit at a dinner with 9 courses and say that he preferred a simple meal with a bit of boiled pork and mashed turnip. He would be satisfied with a couple of sausages and fried bread. He will put aside his glass of champagne and longed for a bottle of water from his father's tree. Even though he had luxurious facilities, Spag will say that, like a simple man, he will say that he wants to eat a bit of boiled pork and mashed turnip. He wants to drink the water from his father's stream. Mr. Spag would have got rid of his wealth, but he could not. It's a burden that one must carry. Wealth is a means of social service, a means of doing good to the world, to brighten the life of other people. The wealthy man holds it as a trust for others. Even though Spack is enough rich, but he's not ready to donate his wealth. He's not ready to help others. He's not ready to give it to others. He carries the burden of wealth. He carries the burden of wealth. The author has often asked him why he couldn't give his wealth to a college, but he could not because he was not a college man. He could have donated it to the pension fund for college professors, but as they are the nation heroes, their work is its own reward. When the author asked Mr. Spack about donating his wealth to college or college professors, he would simply say that they are the nation heroes, the college professors are the nation heroes, and their work is their own reward or its own reward. There is no need to give money. The truth is that Spag is not willing to give his wealth to others. The tragedies that the rich face are their own. The poor have no notion of it. The Ashcroft Fowlers were talking about a tragedy. Meadows, their butler, was going away. Franklin had left them a year ago. It's not their fault. These people do not like the Fowlers. Ashcroft follows uh, were a rich couple familiar to the author. When once the author visited them, they were very much upset. When the author inquired them about the matter, they said that the butler Meadows is going to leave them. The reason is that they are underpaying their servant, but they are not ready to accept that and increase his wage. Also, they told him about their former servant Franklin, who left them 1 year ago. And they are still saying that it's not their fault, it is because the servants did not like them. But the actual reason is that they are not ready to uh, pay them uh, the good amount of salary that they deserve. They underpay them. That's the actual reason. A few days after Meadows left them, they are now moving to a little suite of 10 rooms and 4 baths in the Grand Palaver Hotel. Then, after the servant Meadows left them, they shift to a little suite. It's an irony. So, we can see that it's an irony, a little suite of 10 rooms and 4 baths. 4 baths. It really indicates the luxurious manner of living. Then the rich who have the good fortune to get ruined become light-hearted. They can have everything they wanted. A friend of the author showed him a young man and his wife in a car. They were absolutely ruined, but they won't sell their car or their sandstone residence. They retain their box in theater. Also, as we have said, rich people are not ready to accept their richness, not ready to uh, give up their wealth even if they are suffering a loss, even if they are economically not well, they uh, they are ready to suffer all those things for keeping this richness. Once, a friend of the author showed him a young man and his wife who is riding in a car, and the author's friend told him that they were absolutely ruined, but they won't sell their car or their sandstone residence, and they also retain their box in theater. So these are the cases of richness that the author had gone through, but these rich people are not ready to accept their richness. They simply say that they are pinched. As we have said earlier, what this essay is trying to say is that no matter how money one has, one cannot escape from the drudgeries of life. This is all. That's all. Thank you for listening.